What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Punt Intended, the sports channel where everything is made up and proves that punts don't matter. My name is Connor, and this is my recap of the Packers-Ravens game, where the Packers came out on top 31-30. The Ravens, for the second time in 3 weeks, attempted a two-point attempt with less than a minute to go and was unable to convert. Both times actually going to Mark Andrews. There's a lot to talk about with this game. The first thing is that Tyler Huntley is a lot better than I ever thought he was going to be, at least as a backup. He looked very poised, didn't make any mistakes, really didn't have any truly bad throws, at least to where it could have been picked off. He had a few overthrows, which seems to be one of his biggest problems, is just getting set and accidentally overthrowing his receivers. And he looked like a rookie version of Lamar almost, where there's a lot of the passes were much shorter passes, didn't really take that many attempts downfield. I think the furthest pass I saw him attempt was maybe 20 plus yards. Just once. He was dinking and dunking, but not like check down dinking dunks. It was a lot more to the outside to Andrews, to Brown, and so on and so forth. He looked really good. Obviously, brought him back, scored 2 touchdowns in the final, I think, 10 minutes of the game. And then, of course, we got to talk about Harbaugh's decision. Second time he's gone for it. And, his decision, I don't mind it, but if he gets it, he looks like a genius. If he doesn't, he looks like a fool. And unfortunately, he's looking like a fool, mainly because he also decided, before even going for the 2-point attempt, he decided on that first drive of the game, opening drive of the game, to go for it on 4th and goal from, I think, about the 4-yard line or so. And Huntley gets tackled out of bounds for a sack and a turnover on downs. Now, the Packers immediately go 3 and out, and the Ravens then score. But, of course, I was saying it throughout the entire stream. I said it till everyone was deaf in the ears. That was going to come back and haunt the Ravens, that they didn't take the field goal there. And that's exactly what happened. They take the field goal there. They get the touchdown at the end of the game. They don't have to go for 2. They kick the extra point. They're up by 3. There's still time left for Rodgers. And I'm sure, being Aaron Rodgers, he's going to probably get them in field goal range, give him a chance for the game-time field goal. But at least they would have had the lead, right? And, and they would have then have to take their chances in overtime. And that's the main reason why in the Steelers game, Harbaugh went for 2, because they had lost Humphrey, and so they had injuries to the secondary. And I feel like, this game showed that those injuries were a problem, but it wasn't like Rodgers really took true advantage. He I don't know why, but the Packers weren't attacking the secondary as much as I thought they would. They weren't taking a lot of deep throws and stuff. It was mostly, short to middle stuff. There was a lot of short screen passes to Mercedes Lewis and MVS and Devontae and so on and so forth. They were running the ball somewhat effectively at times. Sometimes they would get some runs. Sometimes they kind of get stuffed. But it seemed like the Packers just didn't want to attack the secondary as much as I thought they would. So it was a little encouraging with how wrecked the defense, especially the secondaries with injuries, that they were kind of able to, at least not let any really big plays beat them. I think their biggest completion of the day was maybe, 30 yards, which honestly isn't that bad. It's not nearly as bad as any of the really big plays that the Ravens have given up this season. But yeah, it's still I had no faith, at least after the Ravens scored their second touchdown, after they scored to make it a 31-24. I didn't have faith that they were going to get the stop, and they actually did. Mainly because the Packers got really conservative all of a sudden. It wasn't like got conservative, it was just like the play calling got really weird. I thought they were going to just run it out, but instead they went 2 or 3 straight plays, and then they had a false start on third down that pushed them back, and it was an incomplete pass, and the Ravens, it's a bad punt, and the Ravens started on the Packers side of the 50, and it was just kind of a somewhat easy drive there at the end for the Ravens to release time. So, it's the Ravens' third straight loss. They're now 8-6. They're not in first place anymore. They're tied. Well, they're tied with the Packers. They're tied with the Bengals for the best record in the AFC North, but the Bengals obviously beat them for the first time. So they have the tiebreakers. They're leading the division. And the Ravens actually don't even have a playoff spot right now. If the playoffs were to start now, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. And so next week it will be huge. Ravens at Bengals, obviously, because I think whoever wins that will probably win the division. But, this game, would I take Hundley over Lamar? Probably not. Despite how bad Lamar has looked at times this season, how good Hundley has looked thus far in his time that he's played. I mean, Hundley did all this against a team that they're not an elite defense, but they're still a top 10 defense in terms of points, yards per play average, and so on and so forth. Passing, I think, and rushing defense, they were all top 10. And so the Ravens had nearly 400 yards of offense. Hundley was able to move the ball pretty well. They only had to punt once for the Ravens had to. Possessions were very valuable in this game. And unfortunately, the first one ended up being the most important for the Ravens, where they couldn't come away with any points. So I don't understand why Harbaugh didn't take the points in that first drive. And I kind of put this out on Twitter saying that Harbaugh just out-Buck Showalter. Because if any of you are baseball fans, you'll know Buck Showalter famously, or infamously rather, kept one of the best bullpen pitchers or closers in the entire game back in 2016. He didn't bring him in the AL wildcard game in the 11th inning, and he brought in a starting pitcher out of the bullpen who was known to be not very good. And that guy gave up a single, and then a 3-run home run to put the Orioles out of the playoffs. And didn't get to use one of the best players in the entire league that year. And that was one of the all-time worst managing gaffes. And, Harbaugh is starting to run that. He's starting to go over that line from genius. Like he's running that line of genius on one side to fool on the other with all these analytics and stuff, and he's starting to go towards the fool for just not taking the points when he should. And it's frustrating because, like I said, it's obviously a what if, woulda, shoulda, coulda kind of situation. But I think if he had kicked the field goal there, well, I know if he kicks the field goal on that first drive, that's 3 points, obviously, and that would make the situation for the Ravens a lot easier, where they don't have to try and worry about Rodgers trying to win the game. They have to just worry about stopping Rodgers from trying to tie the game to send it into overtime. And you have the best kicker in the game sitting on the sideline, not kicking. Sure, it's just 1 point, but it's a huge 1 point. And instead of tying the game, they run a play where they cut off half of the field by doing a rollout to the right on a very bad pass to Andrews that's behind him, and he had no chance to catch it. At least with the first one against the Steelers, at least Lamar put it where only Andrews could have gotten it, and it was just slightly too far outside. This time, Andrews, I don't even think got a hand on the ball. So, it's frustrating, and with how the Ravens have looked, at least with their defensive injuries. I mean, this game was encouraging overall, honestly. based on how bad the team has looked the last 4 or 5 weeks. But I said during the stream, and I still kind of believe this, that the Ravens could honestly lose out and finish the season 8-9 with all the injuries that they have, especially in the secondary and on that defense. So, like I said, next week's going to be huge. Whoever wins that game, Bengals, Ravens, probably wins the division. Steelers and Browns are still there. Steelers just won, but they've been up and down. They win one week, they lose the next. They keep going up and down. And the Browns, they play tomorrow night after having their game moved. So, and they're just wrecked by COVID right now. Like, half their team is not there. They don't even have any starting quarterbacks. Neither of their quarterbacks are there. So I truly don't think they're going to win that game, just because of that, unfortunately. So, but you never know. The AFC North is just a bloodbath right now. It just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I think Harbaugh needs to relax with the analytics. And, hopefully the Ravens, whatever happens the rest of the season, hopefully the Ravens can really make improvements to the areas that I think they need, which is still, Huntley, I don't think he got sacked at all this game, which I was surprised by. But they still need to improve the offensive line because there was plenty of times he was pressured and had to run out of the pocket. Obviously, they need to shore up the defensive line because Campbell and Williams are getting old and probably won't be capped after this season. And, try and get some good cornerback depth because obviously this is taxing their cornerback depth right now. And Tavon Young just suffered a concussion, so he might be out next week as well, to make matters even more worse for the Ravens. So, there's still 3 games left. Bengals at Bengals, then they have the Rams and the Steelers to end the season at home. And, the NFL is proving that anything can happen. So, the Cardinals just lost to the Lions earlier today. So, anything could happen. And, it all just depends what Harbaugh and the Ravens are able to do. Can Lamar come back and look like the Lamar of old from earlier this season, where he looked like an MVP candidate when they were like 7-1 or 7-2, and he was looking like an MVP candidate, or really look like the Lamar of the past month, erratic and throwing picks and just getting sacked left and right because he's holding on the ball too long. So it all comes down to next week and the next few weeks. But to everyone who watched the stream today, it meant a lot. We got up to about 70 people watching at least at one point for a minute or two, and we hovered around the 50s to 60s for a good 20-30 minutes, and that really means a lot to me. I need to start adding some more flair, some other videos other than the streams and stuff like that. It's just finding the time to do the editing and stuff like that. But there are ideas that I have for videos that I want to do. And it's just relearning Adobe Premiere and, editing them together, getting all the footage and stuff like that. But, it really does mean a lot to me that you guys at least were there today. And, it really, makes me really happy that you guys are supporting me like this. And so, hopefully I can make this into what I think it can be. I'm not doing this for the money. I don't think that's really possible, at least, based on what, Tom and guys like your name tree are saying, don't go in for the money. I'm not. I'm doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because I think I have something that I can share with you guys. I think I'm just a kind of guy that can share that with you guys, and I hope that you stick with me through it, and let's make this into a community that can maybe challenge Tom's in terms of impact and how great of a community it is. Maybe not obviously not right away, but maybe in a few years' time, once I've gotten more used to doing this type of stuff and gotten the rest of my life and my situation figured out. But beyond that, this there's a lot to take away from this game for the Ravens. There's a lot that they can learn, and hopefully they don't do the same things again. Swear to God, if we see Harbaugh attempt another 2-point conversion after getting a potential game-tying touchdown, and he doesn't get it, I feel like people will start wanting his head in Baltimore. So, but that's going to do it here. I know this is a bit of actually much longer review, but like I said, it means a lot, guys. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas this Saturday, and I will be back here on Sunday for the Bengals-Ravens game. Thanks, and have a good night.